Michael Jackson is arguably the biggest celebrity of all time. You made a documentary, I think it's about 4 or 5 years ago, called Entering Neverland. Is that what it was called?
Yeah, it was right after Leaving Neverland came out. I dropped that rebuttal, and it blew up pretty quick. As you know, HBO lies all the time, so it wasn't really hard to debunk that. But I've known this for a very long time, Alex. It's not like the HBO mockumentary forced me in that direction. I've researched this for many, many years. So
and some of these stories are just insane. Now let's play SOT number 3. This is kind of the intro to that documentary that everybody needs to go. We need to put a link to this documentary in the description, Jimmy.
Got it.
Okay, let's play SOT number 3.
He's been treated like dirt.
Michael was much more than a man of song and dance. Michael was a heart that beat for the love of humanity.
All-time best-selling albums in history in the Guinness Book of World Records. Overnight, they called me a freak. They called me a homosexual. They called me a child molester. They said I tried to bleach my skin. They did everything to turn the public against me. Complete conspiracy. You have to know that.
I've slept in the same bed as Michael. It's just you watch cartoons, you fall asleep. It's just a friendship. And I know he would never do anything to hurt my brother. He's the nicest guy you've ever met.
I've been there when these kids have been in Michael's room. I've been there with them. It's just party time. They watch videos, they eat junk food, they play video games. There's nothing more to it than that.
The Jackson family points out to us that your story's changed after Michael's death, is what they're saying. They also believe that if he were still alive, you all would not be sitting here talking to us right now. There would be no movie, there would be no documentary, you would not be talking. What do you say to that? And he can't defend himself, of course, because he's no longer here.
Right.
This isn't the other kids have come forward when he was alive.
Brandon, did you edit out the clip of the lawyer saying you use him as a key character witness?
You said to edit out the lawyer part.
I meant just the lawyer part. I guess I should have been more clear. I wanted just the lawyer part, the other part edited out. All right. Well,
no worries. I can explain it. So,
yeah. Do you see why that was kind of confusing?
Let me piggyback off the last thing that your audience just heard. Was James Safechuck, the coattail to Robson. And by the way, Wade Robson's the one, those two guys are the ones that put the HBO documentary out. And the clip you saw of his sister and his mother, I mean, did you not hear them? So again, it's a disconnect people have because the media has taken over people's minds, as you know. But the last thing that you just heard was other kids have came forward when he was alive. And, I go over that in the short film, but the first kid admitted in 2009 that it was a setup. It was an extortion attempt by his father, Jordy Chandler. And then, as we all know, unless you don't know, but, that original kid, the whole thing was a lie and his dad committed suicide.
I think we have a graphic. Do we have that graphic?
We have the clip of him talking about SOT 4.
Okay, let's play SOT 4 real quick, and then we can start.
Them accusing him of just the most horrible things. This kid's father has committed suicide because he just couldn't take it, and now the kid has come forth and said Michael never touched him. That's right.
Father of a boy who back in the early 1990s in a highly publicized case you probably remember accused Michael Jackson of molesting him. Well, that father committed suicide in Jersey City. Peter Thorne is there now live now with the latest on the investigation. Peter?
Jim, just months after Michael Jackson's sudden demise, as you mentioned, another shocking death, and this time, as you said, it is somebody who is closely linked to an infamous
Okay, that's enough of that. So with that, we saw that the first two people, James Safechuck, Wade Robinson, both on record, and then we clipped that part out, but it's the lawyer talking about how Wade Robinson was the key witness 2 times, Michael Jackson's lead character witness, and was cross-examined by California's top state prosecutor And he did not crack. And not only was he interviewed, but his family, brothers, sisters, moms were interviewed, and they both corroborated the story that he was never touched, never said that he was touched. Then shortly thereafter, when Michael Jackson passes away, Wade Robson doesn't get this Cirque du Soleil job that he was in line to get, and then now he says that he was touched. Same with James Safechuck, a guy that got a free house, never said that he was molested. Then he sees that Wade Robson started to get some, traction with this story, and he hired the same attorney that Wade Robson had. So both those stories are very weird. But then when you come to Jordy Chandler, the guy we were just talking about, his stepdad, as a matter of fact, committed suicide after all this because he felt so guilty. So also, Michael Jackson was investigated for 19 years by the FBI, and they never convicted him or found him of doing anything sexual with a child. So why don't more people know about this? And what other big things are we missing that the public needs to know, Sean?
Yeah, no, that was, you nailed it on the head there. That's for sure. I want your audience to also know that besides those two clowns that went out to go get money and try to get a lawsuit with the estate and it just didn't work. I mean, Wade Robson himself was putting out a all-tell book that no publisher wanted to touch because it's a bunch of inconsistent lies inside the book. It's literally fantasy. He's trying to make a paycheck. And then he jetted off to Hawaii. No one's seen him since that time frame. So I want people to know this, though. This is the fact here. Besides those two clowns, as we all know, are lying, they're paid actors, they're trying to get money. There was only two kids ever that has ever came forward and said Michael did anything. And again, we just saw the first kid, Jordy Chandler, admitted it. Then his father committed suicide from the guilt. That was done. But the second kid, that's the big one because I believe, what was the name? Alvarez. I forgot the last name of the Hispanic family. Something along those lines, but they, he actually helped this kid
cure his
through
cancer.
His cancer.
Yeah, the kid had cancer.
Through
do we
the
have a
actual
clip
stuff.
of that, Brandon? Do we have anything talking to that family? I guess we didn't.
Real quick. His mom. This was a setup. Okay, his mom kept taking the family over to Michael's, befriended him, loved all this love back and forth, had public interviews about how great Michael was, that no one stepped in and helped little Gavin, but Michael did, and Michael's the greatest, and they want the kids to call him daddy and all this stuff, and she's milking this cow, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere, she drops a bomb because Michael's friends have talked about this. I've heard every interview on this. She's like, hey, go sleep over without me, because another misconception people have is that some bus of children come and fucking drop drop kids off and go, bye, Billy, bye, Tommy, bye, little boys. We'll see you in a week. And that's what people have programmed in their head based on stand-up comedy, the media, mainstream, everything about Michael Jackson, someone that stood for something. They don't want that. My point is that never happened. I want your audience to clearly know that. Get that out of your head, that a bus of kids got dropped off at his house and left. When kids came over for cancer or charity events or to play at Neverland Park, their parents were there. The parents were there. Guess what? If they crashed, the parents were there. I don't get where this comes from. I think it's just spun out of control. And that's how, the conspiracy of Michael Jackson's guilty gets in people's minds, is because that's the conspiracy. The fact that he's innocent is a fact.
That is the conspiracy, that he's innocent. And, you had such a great statement in the documentary about how Michael Jackson, not only would he do a lot of charitable things for young people in America, he was constantly traveling. He was an international superstar. And not one allegation did he ever face from a foreign country. He was with kids in hospitals all the time. He's a guy that surrounded himself with children, not just at Neverland Ranch, but he would go to sick hospitals. And everybody said the same thing that they interviewed. This is why I love Michael Jackson, that he's one of the most humble guys they've ever talked to. Yeah, people said he was, different, is a little eccentric, of course, but that he was very humble and that he would meet the poorest people and the most, it didn't matter somebody's background, that Michael Jackson would treat them the same that he would treat a famous celebrity. So it just makes me sick that there's this whole narrative that Michael Jackson was a child abuser. When you had Macaulay Culkin said he never touched him, you got Corey Feldman said it. I mean, multiple child stars that hung out with him said that Michael Jackson was the nicest, most humble guy, wanted to play video games with him and eat.
I got a question for you, Alex.
Yes.
Do you believe in, energy vibration?
Of course, I'm high vibrational.
Okay, I'm just making sure before I give you this. Yeah. I'm going to give you a 5-minute story down to 45 seconds. Okay. My grandparents God rest their souls. They were, in their late 90s when they passed, so they had a great life. But way back in the day, okay, this is way back in the day. This is like peak Michael Jackson day. Now, growing up, I knew they didn't like him. It's just a form of, I'm assuming old people are racist naturally. I don't fucking know.
They are. My grandfather was a little racist. Everybody is. Yeah.
I don't understand it now, but it didn't make sense as a kid for sure. But I knew they hated him. It's like they thought that he ruined my family because we all loved him. So they're like, they hate him. Long story short, true story. They were in Vegas. My grandma told me this right before she passed. They were in Vegas, just in the casino. I'm trying to hurry up with this.
No, take your time.
They're in the casino. They're playing, they're doing their thing, whatever.
Playing the slot machine, whatever, having fun.
Playing the slot machine. All of a sudden, they look over and feel this. This is my grandma's words now. They feel this energy that's approaching them in a very ecstatic way, like something's going on. And they look, and everybody looked. She said, everybody there. It's like, what's going on? Nothing's going on. Within 30 to 45 seconds from there, Michael Jackson's walking into the casino. With people, of course, surrounding him, the energy of that. But that's not the energy I wanted to reference. The energy I wanted to reference is that my grandparents apparently were trying to reach out for him. Explain that. I thought you hated him because if I saw Joe Biden or Kamala or Bill Gates, I'm not trying to reach out. That's a little bit of the opposite effect in that sense, right?
Yeah.
But they're literally finding themselves lurking after him to touch his fucking shoulder. That's the energy that man brought, apparently, this vibration of a prophet. Apparently.
It was magnetic.
I'm not saying this, guys. I have heard this from other people. These aren't my words.
No, he was literally magnetic. You just gravitated towards him, and we know that's gravity's BS. But we'll get into that real quick. We love, everybody, we're not going to be able to explain all of the inconsistencies with these stories, but we're going to put a link to Sean's documentary. I really encourage everybody to see it. And then once you watch Sean's documentary, he did it a great way. It's only about 30 minutes, but then there's ones that are 4 or 5 hours, so you guys can see it that even dive deeper if you really don't, but like if Sean's doesn't convince you enough, which it should, there's even a more plethora. Sean did kind of the,
compressed.
Compressed version. I'm just saying that.
Short attention span nowadays, but I want to explain to people real quick. The second kid there's no evidence whatsoever because people probably are I thought he said 2 kids. You explained the first. The second one, it was unanimously decided by a jury of our peers that this lady was in it for the money. The Hispanic lady that just kept bringing the kid there all the time. Literally didn't care about anything but money. It was unanimous. Again, it was unanimous that she was doing it for money. They even talked, I believe one of these big mainstream networks talked to the jury after that trial. It was beyond unanimous. So again, stand-up comedy, mainstream media, mockumentaries, this is what has brainwashed a nation on one of the greatest people that ever walked our earth.
No, you're exactly right. Now, we watch all that just real quick, though. Play shot number 6. This is such a that's a TikTok breakdown. Actually, play shot number 7. Shot number 7, sorry. This is such a funny story, and I believe this story is true. I want to get your opinion on it, Sean.
Sure.
Fast forward years later, Tupac is dating one of the daughters. I think it was Khadijah. Yeah. Mike and Quincy was tight. Right. Michael Jackson watched Quincy Jones' daughters grow up. Tupac comes out the party, disrespecting Khadijah, like, shut up, come on, shut the fuck up and get in the car. Mike stepped to him, yo, you can't talk to her like that. He was like, Mike, mind your fucking business. Mike was like, fuck no, that's like my niece. You ain't gonna just talk to her like that. Michael Jackson and Tupac start rumbling. Michael Jackson beat his ass. They said Tupac loved to fight, but he can't fight.
Tupac and Michael
Jackson. You gotta remember, number one, Mike came up in the house with how many brothers? Do you got brothers?
No.
You ain't got brothers. You got brothers? Okay, so I have 4 brothers. That's how I learned how to fight.
And Michael Jackson was in great shape, dancer. I believe that he kicked Tupac's ass. His cardio had to be way better.
It's a believable story. I know Tupac, from what I've read, is a little bitch, but
yeah, I heard Tupac's gay.
I don't know.
I think Tupac was gay. Now that I see all that acting stuff, something about Tupac seems a little.
But let me comment on that real quick. Again, it's not believable to me only because Michael was a lover, not a fighter. So the whole story kind of throws me off. The guy doesn't really seem as sincere as I want him to. I want the story to be true. I'm not going to default to it, but I will tell you this though: it would have happened in real life if it did, because Michael was a black belt, not a bitch.
I see. So, I didn't even realize that he's a black belt, and he was in good. He was in, like, even in his last days, he took the propofol, which they killed him. That doctor
last
killed
days, Alex. Last days, bro.
I know, but what I'm saying
don't buy into that shit. CNN told you he died that day. We'll get into that another time.
We can. Do you think though that he is on Epstein Island metaphorically? You do think that he was replaced? Because this is why I think they actually, and I do watch a lot of the videos. I watch RV. I watch people talk about how that he can go off and be real. But I do think they killed him because Sony wanted all those. They wanted all those his records. They wanted the originals of all that music. So wouldn't they have a motive, right, to actually kill him?
I don't. Oh, of course. You got an hour for motives.
Yeah, I know. But you do think that he checked out.
Of course, they wanted to get rid of him. But my point is this: if you think there's anyone that's untouchable, it would have been him, in my opinion. Man, he rolled deep with security, and he lay low for a long time, especially when they were coming after him. Obviously, we're not going to get into this, but we know that they don't care about a song. Yeah. We know why the shit started hitting the fan in the media about this guy molesting someone.
In that song, he criticized Jewish people in the music industry, which is very, controversial at the time. Probably still would be controversial to CNN today. But he did call out the Jewish control of music, and then he died shortly thereafter. It is kind of unusual.
Well, no. Well, let me correct you a little there, Hare. I mean, shortly thereafter, it was this blow up of he's a child molester.
Yeah.
And it seems like all of the Jewish controlled puppets in Hollywood made sure that they were running with that agenda in their opinions, in their stand up comedy and their skit writing. They were making sure that they were riding that train, because that was a good train to get on. Just like the jab train, it was one of those trains back then where they're like, jump on that, we'll promote the shit out of you because we're trying to destroy this guy. But anyways, yeah, man, Michael is a very misunderstood person. I wouldn't think he's the most misunderstood person in our history, but he's definitely in the top few, in my opinion. I mean, people just don't understand him. It's hard to explain away his nose surgeries and all this stuff that he did to his face. And we could all blame it on his father, the Freemasonic piece of shit he was.
He did get burned. People don't realize that Pepsi commercial, he did get burned. So once you start getting surgery, I think it's like tattoos. It's kind of addicting, I think. And I think that's why
I thought that too, Alex. I have actually thought that. I don't claim that because I don't know. I don't like to say stuff I don't know, but I do, like, in terms of speculation, yes. I think that they were trying to get rid of him or send him warnings at a bare minimum. And I think that attempt at Pepsi was on purpose. It looked on purpose. Didn't seem like anyone cared as he was walking down Vernon. That's the superstar standing there. You run as fast as you can. You don't jog there. And it just seemed weird to me. And then I think he broke his nose on the fall. His head split open. But I want people to know this fact in case they're wondering what this vitiligo skin disease was all about with Michael Jackson, because people think that he bleached his skin to look like a white person. Mm-hmm. Which I disagree with. I actually believed that when I was little, but as I researched, the vitiligo disease was real. Yeah. And why do you guys think, I should have started with this, but why do you think he wore a glove?
Why? Why? I thought it was just
started on his hand. The patches started on his hand. It started on his hand, and then it went to the other hand. Then he started wearing two gloves, and it started to spread, man. So, his people were like, what the fuck? You look like a leopard. We can't send you out there. And they started to take the lightest blotch of white pigment, no pigmentation, the white, like this color kind of, but a little less. It got worse and worse as you keep going. Look at, what's her name? Sia? I forgot
there's people with vitiligo right now. What's the home run hitter for the Cubs?
Sammy Sosa.
Sammy Sosa. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Well, it's, again, the media spun that. This is even before the calling out the Jews. Before that, they didn't like him, man. They don't want someone, Alex, now or then. They don't want anyone talking about heal the world, talking about we are the world, talking about, they don't want that. That is That is shifting consciousness when you have, and I won't say millions, that's nowadays people, billions of people singing that, holding hands, loving one another. Man, they shut that shit off, dude. Yeah, I mean, there was no more Thriller after he figured out what this occult shit was about. Look, man, Michael was naive just like anyone. I mean, imagine having his life. He probably was more naive, but he had intelligence. I think eventually he got to the facts of what's going on in Hollywood. And I feel like there's more involved with his death than you think. But that conversation could be another time.
Yeah.
That one's longer than this one. This one's pretty easy. You nailed it just in a few sentences in the intro about the FBI, all this stuff. Yeah. And people go, "Well, Hibbeler, the FBI is, they're not on our side." Dude, they would have fucking arrested him at any chance they could. But
they made him. They said that one of the kids said that Michael Jackson had like a birthmark on his genital area. They supposedly made Michael Jackson drop trout, and there was no birth control or birth. What is it called? Birthmark. I can't even think of it. Yeah. You're saying there's no birthmark where this kid supposedly said there was, and Michael Jackson took off his pants. If the FBI,
another big one is that James Safechuck, I believe it was the
he said he was molested in the train house. It wasn't even built yet.
It wasn't built yet. Exactly. See, this is the thing. They know, though, Alex, that I'll be fair because the world's changing, that 80%, maybe 70% of the world will never look into that, Alex. 0% chance that they do any fucking research to see if that's verified or fact check or whatever. They don't do that. They're just like, oh, look, the HBO said it, and that's the gospel, and well, fuck him. I hate Michael Jackson now. And that's how easy it is, as you know. They can make anyone hate anyone.
I'm so fly, I'm aligned with the planes. My grind so refined, I got no time for no games. Ask yourself